What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. My apologies. I just haven't put anything together lately. Hope you guys enjoy this. This is a 2020 Chevy Silverado I had in with the 3-liter diesel. It's the first one I've ever worked on. First time I've ever addressed this issue. There's multiple bulletins out for these, for harness issues that I kind of touch on in this video. I don't go into too much depth. I just can't. But in either case, this customer's concern was that his check engine light was on. He had some history, warranty repairs done. I think the intake had been replaced at one point for some runner issues. There was multiple history on this vehicle. Looking at just getting the visual of it, the harness was laying unsecure in spots. You could see like spots where it wasn't, like the little Christmas trees weren't put back, zip ties weren't established. The harness just wasn't secured properly to the engine. That was concerning to me. There was a couple spots where the harness bends around, like, near the alternator bracket, I believe, and some other areas down in the driver's front fender well area where the ECU lives, or the ECM and the EBCM live. The main harness likes to rub on the frame down there. And I basically was addressing that. What I ended up doing was removing all of the harness connections and kind of pulling everything up and just really looking at everything, pulling off the connectors at the ECM, inspecting them, pin dragging them, just checking for stuff that's obvious. These faults were history faults, COM faults with modules. So, and because it had been in multiple times, who knows, maybe those faults were still existing from prior repairs. But based on the amount of mileage on it and the amount of ignition cycles there were, I was concerned that there may have been some pin fitment issues, maybe some fretting at, just some, sometimes it's literally, guys, sometimes it's as simple as unplugging and plugging a module back in, just getting that pin contact, okay? So, in this case, I got lucky on this. This vehicle was fixed back in February, I think it was February 15th. I filmed it, and we're in April now. So clearly the customer's concern has been addressed. As far as the glow plug circuit's concerned, it was a control circuit fault for glow plug number 2. I believe it had been in prior to that. I can't remember if I flashed the module or if it had been flashed already. I think in the video I said I flashed it. And I believe I did, because we were having issues with SPS where, guys would flash a module thinking that the flash took. They didn't go back in and check to make sure their calibrations were in there. Basically, the system says, yep, it's done. Click, spits out the warranty claim code, receipt or whatever to put on the paperwork. And lo and behold, it actually didn't take in the module. So what I've been doing, and this is what I've been doing on every reprogramming or reflash I do with SPS, is I've been flashing them, printing my receipt, my warranty claim code receipt, and then I shut everything down, exit completely out of Tech Line, or Tech Connect rather, and then I log back in, recycle my ignition up, and then I go back in like I'm going to program it again, put in my RO, and I double check just to make sure that everything did take. That includes radios, everything. That's me. I know it takes a little extra time. We don't always have that luxury, but I don't like to have to go in there, and I don't like to guess, okay? I like to know 100%, yep, it took. Now, with that being said, with this glow plug learn, this is why I wanted to share this. I want to show you guys that even with a factory tool, you're still dealing with the same struggles a lot of times that you're dealing with in the aftermarket tools, okay? I've got some other footage coming up on, I believe it was, a 6.6. I can't remember if it was the L5P or the LM. I think it was the LML 6.6 liter Duramax that I had injector 4 circuit control fault and a misfire. And I've got that video coming up where I kind of walk through the programming of the injector. I'm hoping to have that out soon, okay? I'm kind of trying to put all these diesel videos together. I've got bits and pieces here and there because I deal with a lot of warranty. So with dealing with warranty, sometimes I'll actually film my testing, but it's only so I can keep my data, okay? That I can't remember. And I'm under the gun to try to get it done as quickly as I can, of course, just like anyone. But I'm trying my best, okay? So I'll try to share what I can, and some things I can't. It's just the way it is, because, you know, it's just the way it is. However, this one I can, because I think this is a very good example of learning that the tool you're using, you gotta like kind of think about it a little bit, because sometimes it's not real clear whether or not the Learn took. This glow plug Learn, I was having trouble getting it to learn. However, it was saying it was learned, so on and so forth, okay? So I hope somebody gathers something out of it. That's the point. It's not meant to be super technical, super hard to follow, I guess. It's just how I do things, okay? I try to keep things as simple as possible. Sometimes I bust out my scope, but not very often, because a lot of times it's time consuming. I bust it out when it's necessary, right? When I'm not sure and I want to catch something in the act, yeah, I'll bust out the scope. But a lot of times, you know, it's as simple as just checking voltage, doing a voltage drop, using a test light, you know, using your multimeter. If you know how to use that and do voltage drop testing and load test using a suitable test light, you know, you can find a lot of faults that way. Where a scope comes in handy is when you're checking, you know, fast circuits, or you need to catch something in the act, a communication fault, or maybe like a mass airflow signal or whatever, right? Cam crank correlation codes and stuff like that. There's a time and a place for a scope, and there's a time and a place for a multimeter, and there's a time and a place for a resistance measurement. Now, with these diesels, I personally like to use resistance, because a lot of times I'm finding a lot of these faults doing resistance measurements, especially when it comes to injector faults, pin fretting on the connectors and stuff like that. The ohm meter shines every time. Certain faults with the heater circuits on the DEF systems, okay? I've got some footage of that. I just haven't figured out how I want to put it all together. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm rambling. I'm in my new garage. I finally got it organized. That's why it's been kind of a little bit longer than usual for me to put out a video. I've had a lot of stuff I had to do, just moved, getting settled, getting things put away, getting my garage in order so I can make some more videos. I think, well, no, I don't think. I'm going to film putting injectors in the 3.6, the Traverse, which is my fiance's Traverse. It needs bank 2 injectors done. I did film using the Kent Moore active fuel injector tester at work after hours. So I got some footage of that I want to put together, and then I can also maybe hopefully incorporate the repair into that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Let's get into it. All right, so I have this 2020 Chevy Silverado with the 3-liter diesel in it. It's the LM2, okay? It's only got 33 grand on it. Now this came in with these codes, a P0672 and a P1339, glow cylinder 2 glow plug offset, exceeded learning limit, and glow plug control circuit, okay? And that's all nice and stuff, but there is a bulletin out for the update on the glow plug control module, which is done. This is our glow plug control module, which lives up here, okay? Now to get to the glow plugs. Now I had a cylinder 2. You don't have to take this all off to do just the glow plug for cylinder 2, but I did have to take it off in order to redo the harness. And the reason I'm doing the harness is because I wasn't able to get this thing to act up when I was testing it because it's intermittent. And I had a bunch of faults in this. For these things have harness issues down in the wheel well, so I've already addressed that. I didn't find any rub-throughs in accordance with the bulletin out for any of that. They also have rub-through issues on their main harnesses up in the front, but that's not my issue. My issue is obviously a control circuit issue, you know, and it's a pretty straightforward circuit. I mean, they run a switch power down right to the glow plugs, and there's a connector where the harness, you know, this is the heavy connector that connects to the glow plug sub harness, right? And you know, I checked pin drag using the appropriate tool, you know, pin drag tool from GM, and I didn't see any issues with that. I took a 5 amp test light, loaded the circuit all the way from the module down with 12 volts, and was able to hold 5 amps on every leg. So I'm not thinking that I have a wiring harness issue up to this point from the module. Again, it could be something in the learning that I'm thinking was my issue, but nevertheless, I wasn't able to get, I did a resistance value check on all of them as well. Let's see here. And I think I was getting about a ½ ohm at room temp on every one, so it's pretty normal. Nevertheless, this is what the glow plug looked like on cylinder number 2. So you can see the buildup on the tip of it. You know, this is cylinder 1, not too bad, but there's a lot of crusty buildup on cylinder 2. Now I don't know if it has something to do with the learning, because they have a glow plug learn that you have to do on these, and I'm wondering if anyone's ran into this. So I don't want to be tearing this thing back down again, okay? So it's getting the harness, it's under warranty, it's going to get the harness, it's going to get a new glow plug for number 2. I've already reflashed the glow plug control module with the new software calibrations and whatnot. Then I'm going to do a relearn, because these things have a glow plug relearn that you got to do, probably to set their base resistance values or something, you know, something to do with the, you know, the amount of, let me explain this here. I kind of wrote some notes on how the system works. So when you turn on the ignition, key on, engine off, you get about 7.2 volts for about 2.2 seconds, and then 5.7 volts for about 0.8 seconds, and then another 5.4 volts until the temperature of 2192 is reached. Now, I don't know how it's determining temperature. It must be doing that based on, you know, I'm sure, like, programming and resistance values, and that might be why that might be why you need to have a what am I trying to say? That relearn done, that initial learn of them glow plug resistance values. So anyways, I thought that was kind of interesting. Now they're saying that the glow plug resistance spec is less than 1.8 ohms. So I've got a new glow plug here. I'm going to check the resistance real quick. Alright, room temperature, we got about 0.3 ohms on a brand new glow plug. So let me check the other ones. So there's cylinder 1, about 0.4 ohms. I guess that answers that, huh? That is crazy. Now again, when I did that resistance measurement on them, the harness was all plugged in. I was basically going from block ground from the module down. So how I was getting only a ½ ohm, you know, is it that buildup on the tip that's causing my issue? I'm going to clean that tip off and recheck, because as soon as I moved it, 2.6 ohm. There you have it, 0.4 ohms.
buildup on that tip. It's causing resistance problems, so I don't know. There might be something else going on here. Is it because the glow plug wasn't getting hot enough and that's why the soot is built up on there on a cold start? I don't know. But as soon as I cleaned it off, I'm going to check cylinder 5. Actually, this is cylinder 6. Now, I didn't take out 3, 4, or 5 because they're just hard to get to. Probably have to take the intake off to get to them. 0.4. So yeah, that buildup on the end was causing a little bit of a resistance issue because I cleaned all the tips off, and now I'm at 0.3. I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm going to pop them back in, put a new harness in it. Did it need a harness? I'm not taking the risk. Not after the crap you have to go through just to get in there to get to them. So we'll do the relearn on the glow plugs and go from there. There's one other thing I'm going to do on this new harness. Now, it doesn't tell you to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. This is that new dielectric from Delco. It's green. It's for ignition systems, and it's super conductive, and it's very, very good stuff. Okay? I'm going to put a very, and I do stress very, thin coat on each one of these female ends on this harness, just to prevent moisture buildup on the tips of them, in case moisture gets down in there. I don't know what difference it'll make, but that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully it helps a little bit. One note, I was looking in service procedure. Now technically the glow plugs are a one-time use, okay? Once they're removed, they're supposed to be replaced. I'm not doing that, okay? I'm just not. And I had to take the, I guess I didn't have to, but I wanted to take the other ones out to compare them. I'm willing to take the risk, guys. It'll be fine. 150 inch-pounds on them. I put a very thin coat of dielectric on the threads, even though they don't tell you to do that. I don't care. That's what I'm doing. Alright, I was able to get number 4 out. I'll take number 5 out as well. So, this one ohmed out the same. Again, I just lightly cleaned up this carbon that buildup that was on the tips. Again, I'm not too worried about it. I put a little, right on the threads there, I just put a very thin coat of dielectric, just to aid in keeping moisture out. You know, and sometimes I'm all about following the book, but sometimes you got to think outside the box a little bit. Think ahead. Number 3 is buried behind this intake, so I'm not going to be able to get to him, and I'm not tearing this intake off to do the number 3, which wasn't even having an issue. Again, I'm torquing them all to 150 inch-pounds. I'm just trying to prevent future failures here, guys. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but when I do that relearn, I want these things to be relatively the same so that I know everything is, I don't know, back to its base values, I guess, as best I can. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, but, you know, it can't hurt, okay? I know that it says that they're single use and you're not supposed to take them out without replacement, but tough. That's what I'm doing, okay? Alright, they're all torqued in. And you can see I put that thin layer of that dielectric that I was telling you about. Now that is the dielectric GM recommends on all their coils, particularly the 3.6. I think I found that dielectric grease in a bulletin for the 3.6 for carbon tracking issues. No, I'm not worried about it changing resistance issues because it's made to be highly conductive, guys. So this should help in theory. Guess my last piece of advice is when you're popping them connectors on, or them tips onto them glow plugs, you better damn well make sure they click and snap on. It's real easy to spread them if you start wiggling them around. It should be a nice smooth one-time click and you're good to go, okay? Anyways, that's all I got. Okay, so I've got everything hooked back up. I haven't put the cowl back in. Just want to make sure everything goes through, everything runs good before I do that. So I'm pulling all the DTCs right now, and then I'm going to do a complete code clear. Then I'm going to do the glow plug relearn procedure, and we're going to start this and take a look at everything. So quite a few codes that were set due to me unplugging things. And again, I've already updated the glow plug control module with the latest calibrations. So that's done. And just to clarify on the glow plugs, the reason they want you to replace them, I was talking to another guy that I work with here, and it's because they're very fragile. They're a ceramic glow plug. So should I have replaced those ones I took out? You know, probably to follow the book 100%, but you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to learn, and I wanted to be able to see what the other ones look like in comparison to number 2. Okay. All right, so that's done. Let's go into GDS2. We're gonna pull up our glow plug control module. So K34 glow plug control module right there. Open that up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick cycle of the ignition. Let her set off for a little bit. Press and hold till we put it in service mode. We'll hold that. And there we go. All right. So if we come down here to configurations and resets, you'll see glow plug learn. Click on it. All right, so you can see here it says glow plug offset learn status not run. Let's go ahead and click learn. Required time delay not expired. Glow plug control module request rejected by the control module. Interesting. Let me look up the procedure. All right, so we got to let it sit off for 2 minutes before we can try running it. So I'm going to cycle ignition off and just let it sit for 2 minutes. I imagine the reason it rejected it was because I had the ignition on and it ran the glow plugs hot. So they want, in order to do the learn, they want them to be cool. So that's why they give you, they give you the parameter of, hey, let it sit for two minutes and then turn your ignition on and then we'll run the learn. So I'm already in here, ready to run it. I'm hoping this takes. First time I've ever done one of these, so it's a learning process for me as well. So it's been about 2 minutes. Let me turn the ignition on. Let's hit learn. Yeah, rejected. Let's try again here. Sometimes it's tricky to get these learns to take, so let me turn the ignition on again. And see, now it says complete. That's interesting. Oh, man. You can't even make that up. All right, I'm going to try it one more time. Sometimes these learn functions are tricky, okay? And it's just a really even when you follow service information, sometimes it'll actually take and they'll give you that error message, but it actually did it. Okay, it's hard to explain, but the more you do, you know, the more you learn, like, okay, so it showed a completed status, so maybe it ran it. You know, this is the struggle we deal with in this industry. Software anomalies would be my guess, even with the factory tool. All right, it's a moment of truth. So it's been about 3 minutes. Let's go ahead and turn the ignition on. We're gonna do this as quickly as possible. Okay, we'll double click into this, and we're gonna hit learn. And there you go, it says expired again. But if we go back in here, what I'm worried about is that value complete. That tells me it did it. Okay, it's all I can do, guys. So let me start this. All right, just fire it up. I'm gonna go put a hose on this quick. We're gonna let this run. So really, it's gonna take a good amount of driving to confirm that this is fixed. But I'm gonna look and see if these DTCs did set on this ignition cycle. I'd imagine they didn't, because I don't have a check engine light, but that don't mean nothing because they might have to fail so many times, right? So let me grab my code list or my DTC scan and check the status on these DTCs. So we had a P0672 00, show DTC status, passed. Again, that don't mean nothing to me because I still got to drive it. 1339 00 symptom bite, show status, not run, passed since DTC clear. This ignition cycle, last test not run. Okay, so that needs to be ran. And I might have to look up what it requires. Let me try doing a shutdown. And then we're gonna try restarting it. All right. We're gonna do another startup here, so let's just turn our ignition on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up code, what it takes to run this. Let's go back once. Specific DTC 1339. Check status. Not run. Pass though, since DTC clear. Okay, let me look up what it requires to run that. So here it's saying that battery voltage has to be greater than 7 volts, engine speed less than 15 rotations per minute, ignition on. So they have to do an basically they have to do a warm-up to run it, okay? Frequency, the DTC runs once per drive cycle after the running conditions are met, okay? So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go drive this and see if we can duplicate any of the other issues. We're gonna do a complete code scan just to make sure nothing else set. So let me just run all the DTCs. All right, so nothing set. No controllers are set in COM faults. I had a bunch of communication faults from before. I cleaned all the connectors. I checked the harness in accordance with the bulletins out there. Rewrapped the harness, resecured the harness so that we don't have any future problems. Obviously replaced that one glow plug, torqued everything in, put the new harness in. So we'll see what happens, okay? Right now, I'm gonna get the cowl put back together, and then I'm gonna take this thing for a spin, and I will certainly update you guys with the results.